Let me introduce our first speaker. Our first speaker is Tom Swale. So first of all, Tom Swale is our sound guy. If you've been here before, you've seen Tom fiddling with all that stuff over there. And in addition to that, he's also the theme coach. You know, I've been a teacher for a long time, Tom, and that's a new kind of title. We didn't have those back in the day when I started teaching, and we used, little chalkboards. He's the theme coach at the Discovery Creek School in Hartford, and before that he taught in West Hartford, which is where Matt and I met him, and then he taught in Farmington. And in addition to being a teacher and a theme coach, he's also, I wanted to tell you that he's basically a homesteader, and he and his wife are like, do you know what a homesteader is? Those are the people who, they bake bread, and they, living off the land, and they basically have a farm at their house. They have chickens. He's chopping, I don't know, he can't do stuff sometimes because he's chopping wood. He's the kind of guy, when you're driving around and you see, free firewood, I always text him because I know he'll come over and get it. Didn't you once turn Matt down to play golf because you had to can or something? Yeah, and Matt really hammered you for that. But I think it's very impressive. And I wrote here, should the apocalypse come, you will find me in Rocky Hill begging Tom and Liz for their reserves. In addition to that, he really is truly one of the nicest people I know. It is his first time telling a story, so please welcome him. Tom Swale.
I was canning pickles, and it's very important to make sure that they're, really done well, and it takes a while. So it's 2001. I'm a 19-year-old sophomore at UConn, and I'm away from my parents for the first time since my mom was writing my name in my underwear, and I've done one of the dorkiest things in the world, which is to volunteer for the University of Connecticut Festival Choir. And to put this in perspective on the hierarchy of dorkdom, when you're in festival choir at UConn, even the band geeks make fun of you because, quote, they don't have to wear tuxedos and look like penguins, and at least they get to, play for the basketball team. So in order to try and up my social hierarchy here, I decide that I'm going to join an all-male a cappella group because nothing says cool like getting away from singing with the cute girls on campus to sing with a whole bunch of guys who get mistaken for a bad version of the Backstreet Boys. And to make it worse, we're actually going to be singing as an opening act for an elementary and middle school choir that's called the Troublemakers. You can't make this up. And so we go to the dress rehearsal, and I see that the assistant choir director is this really cute soprano that I've kind of not been saying anything to in festival choir, but wanting to. And I freeze, and I can't say anything, and I think, I have got to do something. And there's the height of geekdom coming up, which is the University of Connecticut Festival Choir Semi-Formal Banquet and Dance, if you can believe that, coming up. And I think this has got to be the one moment where I actually decide I'm going to say something. And so I get there on the evening, and I'm talking with my section leaders and a couple of the seniors from my a cappella group, and I get talking to a buddy of mine, Nick Wade, and I freeze, and I can't say anything, and I can't do anything. And Nick literally has to slap the scared out of me, and he says, listen, what's the worst that could happen? And I think, Nick, there's a lot of worsts that could happen here, buddy, okay? And he kind of gives me the pat on the back and sends me on my way. And I go and I start talking to her, and I'm stumbling all over my words, and I'm hoping that it's endearing and cute, but it's probably awful and embarrassing, and I'm talking about melodies and harmonies and things that probably don't even make sense to people who are in music. But I somehow survive small talk, and she's still there. And the dance music comes on, and it's Bon Jovi, and she loves Bon Jovi, and I think, God, I've got to use moves that I don't have on the dance floor and hope I don't trip over myself. And so we're dancing to the faster music, and the slow songs come on, and I'm hearkening back to my middle school turn and spin dancing and hoping this isn't awful and I'm not stepping on her toes and breaking a foot. And we get to the end of the night and hasn't left. And I think, oh God, like now what? And she asks, could I give her a ride home? And I think, this is wonderful and terrifying at the same exact moment, but I can't say no, I have to say yes. I mean, this is what we were working for, and so we start walking out to my car, and Liz, I found out that her name is Liz. I'm good with names. No, I'm not. And so I go to open the door for her, and I kind of give a little bit of a lean in and think like, maybe, possibly, and like, boom, we're making out and it's wonderful and I can't believe it. And then I think like, oh God, like now what when I get her to the apartment? Because like this is what I thought we were going to be doing at the apartment, and like now what? This is bad, but it's good, and just get her in the car. And so we get in the car and we're driving to her apartment and we've got to make small talk again. And so it comes around to like, what are you doing at UConn? And I say, well, you know, I'm a sophomore. I'm trying to apply for the School of Ed. You know, I'm really excited about it. And she goes, wait. You're a sophomore? And I said, yeah, I'm 19. I'm going to be, applying to the School of Ed. And this is where things get spoken really quickly to me. And it's, yes, she has already graduated college. And yes, she has already taught for 3 years in Darien. And yes, she is back as a graduate student. And yes, she is a TA who was teaching the seniors and the section leaders that I was speaking to. And no, at 27, does she think that it was cute or funny that she was making out with a 19-year-old kid right outside of her car. See, these are the kind of things that a woman tells you in very quick succession when she's mad at you, because cute soprano Liz has now become angry soprano Liz, has become frustrated and fuming soprano Liz, and the car is silent. And it is now painful as we're driving the last bit to her apartment, and I think, like, I've just got to, like, get her talking again. Like, if we could get back to that part where we weren't talking about my age and anything else, it could be okay. And, like, if she could get past 19, I could get past 27. And I've just got to, like, fill the space with something. And so we get there, and she gets out of the car, and she starts walking around, and I roll the window down, and I think, like, I've got to just something. And so I say, could I call you sometime? It's the best I had. And so she looks at me with like vitriol in her eyes and like ice in her veins and says, "You're awfully young," and turns on her heels and storms back to her apartment, slams the door, and does not look back. And so whenever anyone asks me how I met my wife Liz, this is the story I tell them.
It would be. Don't you think his house would be a good place to go if the apocalypse comes? He could just entertain us and give us pickles.